So my story about how I got started here at ICE is I had just moved here from the state of Utah to California, and I've always been interested in fight training. I don't know if it was like the fitness aspect of it or just learning like a new skill or whatever, but for some reason it's always been interesting to me. And so when I had moved here from Utah to California, what actually got me in the door was something a little bit different. So I was in a public place and I actually witnessed, I call it an act of domestic violence, but this dad had flown off the handle and hurt his kid in public. And I think you always wonder, or maybe you think you know, what you would do if you witnessed something like that. And I felt a certain way about it. Like, I definitely don't condone it. It's not okay. The second I saw it, I knew instantly that it was wrong. But the thing that bugged me the most is I didn't do anything about it. And I don't know if it was because I felt like I couldn't, or because I was there with my kids, or whatever story you tell yourself. But I didn't like the way it felt, and it bugged me over and over again, like throughout the day. And then coincidentally, I was new to the area, so I just Googled places to eat, and I wound up at the restaurant right next door to the studio here. And so I noticed the studio, I went next door and got my food, and then I came out of the restaurant in my work clothes and just my bag of food and walked straight through the front door, and Brandon was standing, do you remember this? Brandon was standing right behind the desk, and I just said, "What do you guys do?" And he said, "Well, we teach street fighting." And I was like, "Okay, well, tell me about it." And he's like, "Well, it's different than what you might think. It's not MMA, it's not Taekwondo, it's not Jiu-Jitsu, it's all these different things." I have no fight training. I didn't know anything about this stuff. And as he started talking to me about it, it was clear that, number one, he took it very seriously, and number two, they had a real philosophy, like a real methodology about it. And I was like, whatever, I'm in. So from that moment on, like, I think I wanted to learn the skill, and then I saw something that showed me something in myself that I didn't like. And what that was when a situation arose that I thought I would stop, I didn't stop it. So that's what got me here originally. I came in here with a bunch of my buddies, and there was a bunch of us that came through, and just because of our work schedule and stuff, I had to do mostly private training. So I brought a bunch of friends in here with me, and at first it was kind of a good time with some friends, and we'd hold mitts and swing at each other and stuff like that. But what it became was kind of a journey of self-improvement, I guess, for me. So I've been training for about a year now, and the things that I've learned at ICE correlate so directly with the person I try to be and the things that I respect in life that it's got me hooked. So in my job, I'm a director of sales training for the second largest solar power company in the country. So what I do is I train salespeople and sales managers. So it's a lot of leadership development, it's a lot of sales training. And the way that I learn is I learn through associations. A lot of times it doesn't really help to tell me what something is, it helps to tell me what something is like. And training with ICE for me is a lot like anything in life. The first thing that I learned here was, and I don't know if Jeff, my trainer, told me this or if it was just something that we kind of summarized, but it's impossible to be powerful from a weak base. That's something that has like ingrained into my life. So in my work habits and my schedule, and I'm a professional, and I'm a dad, and I'm a husband, and I'm a Christian, and all of these things, that applies just across the board, that if you want to be powerful, you just simply cannot be powerful from a weak base. So that's good habits, good patterns, good standards, all that kind of stuff. And the association of fight training is actually, it just got me to think about it, I guess, in a different way. Second thing that I learned is conditioned instinct, that the second you need to use something, it's only going to be there if you've practiced it over and over and over again, which is so applicable to every single part of life. I also learned this idea of being on and off, and just your presence and your overall ability to handle yourself and manage yourself. Super important. The water behind the dam mentality of how to think and how to progress mentally, and then this idea of constantly pushing yourself. So when I first came here, again, I'm a sales trainer, and I'm a salesperson, and I'm 100% commission. That's how my pay is done. So I'm supposed to be very confident, and I'm supposed to sell and transfer energy and all that stuff. And one of the most valuable things to me was being put in an environment where I was just uncomfortable. I'm 32 years old and I never stood in a fighting position before. And so to get into that position and to feel awkward and to feel weird and to work through it, that's something that hopefully I always do in my life. Hopefully I'm always willing to be uncomfortable and learn. But I don't think you really learn things until you're taken out of what you know and you're put into something that you don't know. So I guess one of the most valuable things to me is it was an opportunity for me to be uncomfortable, and then you start to gain energy and momentum as you start to learn something. I think it's pretty common for adults to be comfortable with what they know, but then you learn something new and it's really exciting and fun and it almost gives you like a new vitality. And ICE gave that to me. As I learned this, it's fun and I'll tell other people what I'm learning, and it's brought more people through the door. When I started to learn some of these principles and started to think about it, one of the first things I did is I had an organization of salespeople that I work with. There was like 60 or 70 of us, and we brought the whole ICE crew in. We had this whole, I call it a seminar kind of a thing, but it was just showing how the things that you learn here correlate directly into our professional lives. That was really fun, and the guys really loved it. We got a lot of good feedback from it. But one of the ways that I learn is you put me in a different situation and you give me some sort of association, and a lot of times I can draw to it. If you say surfing is just like snowboarding, I get what that means. When we say fighting is just like selling, or fighting is just like improvement or whatever, it's kind of given me a new way to look at something that maybe I already knew.